Okay, I'm here. Better late than never. But I've been uh, I've been on a bit of a writing jag, so I wanted to take advantage of that before I did too much more. It always comes at the worst possible time because I really should be working on this nonstop. But when inspiration hits, you got to take it. So I did get the arm rods done. The way I did this is I took a regular rod handle and I flattened it on one end, drilled a hole. I think I did at least the drilling of the hole online. And then I ran two rods down from it and attached it with string or thread, and then epoxied it just like normal to make this single-handed arm control. And it's ready to be installed, but I want to pattern, before I get all this rigmarole on there, I want to pattern this upper body. So I'm going to do that today. I'll take out this bungee cord. I think I'm still going to use the bungee cord, but I need to figure out how I'm going to attach it. So I think the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to put a wood disc at the top and the bottom that basically locks it in place. But I can do that after I get it figured out, as long as I don't seal this up before I'm done. So anyway, here we go. Let me get some material. Boy, when Joann's went out of business, I bought 8 yards of this stuff. And look, I have maybe 2 yards left. So I basically jammed through this so fast. Oops. I gotta get on the floor to focus. If Joann's had another light color, I probably would have bought that bolt too. But this was absolutely the last bolt of fabric that they had at the fleece that they had when I went for after they went out of business. And I think it was like $1.98 a yard or something like that. Okay. This is going to be a little difficult with these arms on. Do I want to take them off? I think I'll take them off. At least I'll take one of them off. I went and auditioned for Santa Claus today. Let me just put it this way. It was 9 of us sitting in that room, and it looked like 8 Santa Clauses and 1 Hermie the Elf sitting there in there. Guess which one I was. But maybe I'll. They did say they were casting for elves too, so maybe I'll end up being an elf. But I want to be a dentist. Okay, so I should just thread this out, get these arms off. It'll make it easier to cover them too, so probably good that I did that. Okay. So I want the stretch going widthwise, and I want to make sure it goes all the way around, so probably hack off about this much. So I'm just basically going to look for the center line, and I'm going to pin it along the this to the base here. I mean, this is the same process I show you guys over and over again. I don't know why I go into such detail, but so there's no center line on the back, or there is, but it's not a marked one because I end up using 7 wedges instead of the 8 that I intended. So there's no seam on the back. But, okay, so I'm going to take this and stretch. And then I'm going to pin it. Pin it to win it. Ouch. Somebody just got bingo. I stuck myself with a pin. And this may or may not be completely symmetrical, which is fine. I just want to make sure it fits. And I probably could mark the armholes, but I may not. I may just mark them or cut them when I get the final one on. I want the least amount of darts as possible, so I think I'm going to move them along to the center here. So maybe I'll take this out. It'd be great if I could get away with no darts, but I don't think that's going to happen. Hmm. So I'm just going to pinch it until it's basically straight. There's no bulges. They're none that speak of anyway. And then pin it in place. I want it to be tight, but since there's not a lot of stretch to that fur that I'm using to cover it, I'm not going to stretch it too far. I'm just going to make it tight. Make it tight. Okay. I guess this is what I get for coming on late. Nobody shows up. But I haven't been posting on Tuesdays lately, but I should be able to for the foreseeable future. So now he's going to have a fleshy torso. That'll make Frozen the most disturbing of all the Disney musicals. Would you like to make a flesh man? Hello! Yes, the fleshy torso. Would you like to make a flesh man? It's a new song. It's like a pumpkin head. How you doing, Dave? Thank you for getting me off my butt to actually post today. I've been writing, so it's been kind of refreshing after 10 years of not writing to actually have some stuff to put down on paper. So I was hesitant to get away from it in case I lost my train of thought. But I was just watching Match Game on TV on on YouTube, so it wasn't like I was doing a whole lot of active writing at the time you texted me. Ouch. I've managed to poke myself pretty good twice on this already. I think I'm going to mark the arms and may or may not use them. Yes, Charles Nelson Riley. He's one of my favorites now. If you haven't seen it, look up on YouTube The Life of Riley, Charles Nelson Riley show, one-man show. And they have a version that's 8 parts, and they also have a version that's 1 part that's like an hour and a half. Watch the hour and a half one. It is probably the best one-man show I've ever seen in my life. And that's my movie review for the week. Even if you're not a fan of Charles Nelson Riley, this is just an amazing bit of work. Yeah, I'm only watching the ones with Brett Summers and Charles Nelson Riley and um, Richard Dawson. Without one or them in a weird place, it just doesn't work the way it did. I have a cousin. Well, he's my mom's cousin-in-law, so I don't know what that is to me. Probably nothing. But he used to be on game shows a lot in the 70s and 80s. And so I was like, I wonder if he was on Match Game. It'd be awesome. So I looked him up on the Match Game wiki, and it doesn't appear that he did go on there. But that would have been a nice find. I know he went on Win, Lose, or Draw and Wheel of Fortune and a couple others from that time period. I was just kind of impressed that they had a wiki. Oh, maybe I'll turn it in such a way you can see what I'm doing. I'm just marking the lines. Okay, let me mark the registration. They call it collective coherence. It's when two or more people get into sync with one another and operate as one entity. You mean Charles Nelson Riley and Brett Summers? You know, I have a new appreciation for Gene Rayburn as well. He always seemed like kind of a big goof, but the more research I've done on him, he actually was really funny guy. So atypical for the game shows of that era. I watched part of an episode of Joker's Wild, and boy, the guy they had doing that was kind of a weird gargoyle guy. I mean, he was just this weird guy. I was like, how is this guy a game show host? He just seems so weird. And Dawson, yeah, Dawson was, yeah. I think I could see. That's my goal. My goal. I got to become. First of all, I got to become famous enough so people know me as a personality, and then I have to. They have to bring back the Match Game, and then I have to become a panelist on the Match Game, and then my career will be made. That's my whole. That's my 10-year plan right there. But at least I have a plan. Ouch. I've already forgotten which side's the front, but I don't think it'll matter. I don't think it'll matter much. Look at that. I was thinking I could put the hands on, but I'm kind of glad I didn't now. I'm the missing link. Yeah, that's it. I'm the love child of Charles Nelson Riley and Brett Summers. One of the things I find really fascinating about that show is that every year, for a while there, I don't know if they always did it, but every year they were renaming the show with a new light up title card and everything. So it was like Match Game 73, 74, 75, 76. And I wonder why they felt the need to put the year in it. Other than I guess there was an original match game. But I would think that after a while they could leave the number off. And it certainly makes it dated for syndication. I'm sure they didn't think there would be much longevity to a 70s game show, though. All the game shows and sitcoms from the 70s, 80s are great. Today, one of my earliest memories as a child. My earliest memory as a child was, well, I have some memories of my mom. My mom used to do that. Maybe I told this story before. There was this neighbor that my mom didn't like, who every time she didn't drive, and every time my mom was getting into the car with me in the car seat, this lady would come running out and like, "Oh, are you going to the store? Can I go with you?" And then she'd jump in the front seat of my mom's car and make my mom drive her to the supermarket. And so I would be put in the little, place for the baby to sit. I can remember sticking my feet through the little thing, her flipping down the little thing, putting my feet in, and my mom would go on these. She'd do her shopping super fast. And then she'd say, "Okay, let's go find Fran." And then she would do like a search and destroy in the supermarket until she saw this neighbor. And then she would pretty much at full speed ram her shopping cart, ram the shopping cart I was in into Fran's shopping cart. And they go, "Oh, Fran, I'm so sorry. I didn't see you there." And she'd do this week after week after week. And that's one of my earliest memories is that. If not the earliest memory. Probably traumatic brain injury or something. Hey, Laura, how's it going? Yeah, I almost didn't come on. If Dave hadn't asked me about it, I probably wouldn't have, because I've been doing some writing and I didn't want to lose the train of thought. But I was pretty much at the end of it, which is why I was watching Match Game. Okay. Wow. I spent 2 weeks eating a greasy turkey. Did you come across any puppet stuff in either Greece or Turkey? I don't know if they have much of a puppet community out there. I barely leave my house these days. Although I did audition for Santa Claus today. I said it earlier in the feed, but I'll say it again because I think it was funny. I got there and there were basically 9 of us. 8 of us had beards and were built like Santa Claus, and then there was one Hermie the elf, and guess which one I was. Oh, that's cool that you saw some beautiful marionettes and Santorini. That's cool. Were they similar to Western style, or were they something totally different that you hadn't seen before? See how well I did getting those lined up. My great aunt used to pop over to her next door neighbor's house early in the morning for coffee, and it reminded me of Lucy and Ethel, one of my childhood fun memories. That's a good one. How about you, Laura? What's one of your first memories? Do you have anything that comes to mind? We have to have some comic topic of conversation since I'm not particularly doing anything interesting today. Let me get some paper. I don't think this one's big enough. Let's see. Nope, not big enough. Okay, The mist and loud noise of Niagara Falls. I was 8 months old, and we were in a boat. Oh, that's cool. Niagara Falls, inch by inch, step by step. I gave him a left and a right. That's all I know about Niagara Falls. Yeah, everything I know about Niagara Falls was told to me by vaudeville. Now I hope somebody else comes in here so they can tell us their first memories. I always find that interesting. I talked to my friends one time, and one of them goes, I go, well, what's your earliest memory? And he goes, well, when I was 10. And I'm like, when you were 10? What'd you do for the first 9 years, you know? I should ask my brother what his first memory is. Anyway, Fran moved away when I was 8, so like that's a pretty, or not 8, 2. It was like 18 months. So the fact that I remember any of that is pretty amazing. I'm about to make you feel old. I have very little memories before 1999. Wow. I graduated in 90, so. I have no idea what you're talking about with the Shrinkies thing, Dave. I know the Soggies, which are from Captain Crunch. Okay. I was born in 95. Wow. Yeah. I used to be the young puppeteer or young guy at work, and then something happened. I actually was when I was working at DirecTV. I was the young guy for the first 5 years that I was there. I worked there from 2000 to 2005, I think was when they laid us off. And then they hired me back, and I was the young guy that entire time. Everybody else was a good 10 years older than me, for the most part. And I was off work. I was laid off for 8 months, and then they brought me back. And when I came back, I was the old one. Like, everybody else was a good 10 years younger than me. And it's like, what happened in those 8 months? So the comic I used to draw, I started in 96, Ethan. So I drew a daily comic strip before you were born. Wow. Yeah, well, okay, so I've been working at Knott's, lately. And this girl was there talking, and she's talking about, how she wasn't old enough um, to vote in the last election. And I was like, oh my God, I'm an old man. That's okay. Age is just a number you put on your death certificate. So I'm just having the two. I know you guys all know this. Just having the line between the blue and the red, getting the average of the two. I don't think I'm going to use this circle here, which is where the armhole is, because I don't think it'll line up, because there's nothing particularly magical about the spot I put those arms, but I marked it anyway just in case it's useful. Went to the island of Crete, and in the town of Chennai, they had a cartoon animation festival. Since it was free, I went and took lots of pictures. Couldn't read anything because it was all Greek. Nice. I'll have to take a look at those pictures later. That's awesome. All right. Supposed to be a question mark. Question mark. Okay. I do stuff like that and forget later when I reference the pattern for a future build, and then I'm left scratching my head when the hole doesn't line up with where the arm should be. Yeah, I mean, I didn't on the foam body. I just pushed it in. I didn't even measure, so it's got to be off center a little bit. But I just marked it in case I'm going to need it later. It might help me. I probably won't. I'll mark it on the fur, but I won't actually cut it out unless I need to. Okay, so there's that. Get rid of these. Let me get some fur. And the stretch does go this way, so I'm gonna. Oh, I should mark that too. Oh. Did you ever get your did your cork board ever was it degasified? What were you saying? It was uh what was the term you used? Off gas? Did the cork board ever off gas that you were working on, Dave? Oh, I got that whole thing lined up there, and I forgot to mark the registration. We'll do that first. I bought some sticky black velvet for pupil highlights. Not sure if it will stick to the black velvet. It should. I use that. I actually got some contact paper, velvet contact paper, and it sticks like crazy. That's what I used on Sammy's eyes, and it seems to stick to just about everything. I'm thinking about rebuying the black in that because the black paper that I have, the black velvet paper, doesn't stick to anything. Oh, it's just awful. I have to actually put two-sided tape on it just to get it to stay in place. If I'd been really smart, I would have done this someplace other than on top of fabric. It's confetti. I don't know what's better use of this. Probably that. Yes, it's amazing compared to pattern cutting on the floor with pattern weights. I've never used pattern weights, but they look like they'd be really tough to keep in place. Like, I really like this setup here. It's basically based on what BJ was doing. The only addition that I did was using the plastizote for it as opposed to cork. But that was only because I couldn't find cork. And I had this on hand. Actually, I'm going to cut that one out before I go much farther. I know there's an opening in here someplace. Oh, and I just I just threw out my Persona blades. I can't use it to cut open this new box. Okay. Oh, I did forget the hole. Thank you. probably won't use it, but we shall see. I need a little. Where do I have that? Thought my phone was right here. Oh, never. Probably in the other room. Okay. Yeah, I just wandered off. Now I want to get a soda. There it is. We'll see if the YouTube algorithm gets me, but I want to put on some music to cut by. Better find it. My joke's getting all screwed up now. I can't find what I wanted to play. Okay, here we go. Just a second, I'll get back to cutting this out as soon as I get my music playing. I don't even know if you guys can hear this. There we go. All right, guys. That was hopefully that was worth it. It's only been going through my head this entire session. Okay. Here, I'll pull this down so you guys can actually see it. Dave, you want to tell them what that song was from? The name of the song is Blank. I'll probably get pulled, so this might be the only time you'll hear that music. So what that was, it was the match game song. We were talking about it before you got on here, Laura. That music always makes me happier. I don't know why. It's close to the Price is Right song. All right. I'm doing a bang up job at cutting this. This. Hopefully I have enough of it left over to do the rest of his body. Otherwise I'm really up a creek. Okay. Yeah. I'll just cover them in yellow snow. Okay. I think this fake sheepskin is pretty easy to match, so I'm not too worried about it. I'm mainly just happy that I was able to find it for free. I think I'm going to cover Olaf or Sven in the leftover Sammy fabric and get rid of that. Boy, I'll have to go out and buy some more fabric. Okay, home stretch. That's the way it goes. I think it go. I didn't mark which side was the front, but I think it would go either way. I'll do it this way. Yeah. It lines up pretty close on that side, at least. That one too. I think I'm going to cut these holes. I'm not going to actually, I'm going to cut it in such a way so that if I had to, I could sew it back. I'm not going to cut out the entire hole. Well, okay, so it is and it isn't. I mean, they have some fabric now, but it's not going to be nearly what it used to be. It's going to be probably quilting fabrics and a few odds and ends, but unfortunately, if I was in a bind to cover a puppet and they needed some weird fabric, you could usually find it in some capacity, at least something that would work at Joann's. I think those days are gone. All right, well, that kind of worked. So I'm not going to sew up these darts here on the top and the bottom because I don't know how much space I'm going to need to run the bungee cord. So what I'm going to do, maybe I'll do half of them, and I'm going to sew up the fronts and the backs, though. So, or at least the front. Yeah, there's a discount fabric store up the street from me I've never been to, and I kind of wonder if there's anything there that I could use. I pinned this in such a way that the side I was going to sew up isn't even close to each other. There used to be a whole row of fabric stores up in Northridge when I was living up there, right down by my house. And I used to go there, and occasionally I could find some weird fabric that I could use, but for the most part, I still relied on Joann's quite a bit. This is almost gone. The biggest thing I run into is thread. Like, I have to end up buying my thread online now, and it's, you're in the middle of a project, and you're like, oh, I gotta wait how long to get a set of thread? Oh, I'm gonna have to try and find my glasses too. This might be the end of this video. I was going to take my contacts out before I did this, but I can't see the thread well enough to. Oh, there. Okay, I found my 3 times. There we go. I'll be interested to see if this video gets flagged by Facebook as a copyright violation because of using that music. I think it'd be really funny. I'm sure Mark Goodson's really looking for cash. Okay, here we go. Yeah, Laura. So the question was, do you or Dave ever have the ball piece of your pins fall off? That's been happening to me a lot lately, and it's only on these last bit of this last batch of pins that I bought. I never had a problem with that before. I'm wondering if there's something in this last batch that they're inferior or a different manufacturer or something. But yeah, I've been noticing that happening. I think it's happened 5 or 6 times, and just in this batch of pins. My pins get so nasty after a while that I end up having to, they bent and covered in glue and everything else, that I end up just at a certain point just pitching them all and starting over. And I just did that, and I keep having the problem where the ball comes off. Guess I could change it to this angle and you can see me stitch. I got to make up those big bingo cards. I've had quite a few that keep coming up over and over again. I think it'd be fun to play. You gotta stay here. I've tried several different types, the yellow-headed ones and the silver-colored ones, and they both have been falling apart on me. Frustrated no end. I guess they don't make things like they used to. No, I guess not. Now, I did buy that last batch at Joann's when they were going out of business, so I thought, well, maybe these are just really old, or they knew the writing was on the wall, so they bought really bad pins. It's like, maybe we can save the company if we just buy cheap pins. Those quilters don't care. Tell you what, I gotta stop. I only put my contacts in this morning because I had that audition thing, and I didn't want them to see, think I couldn't do it because I had big old glasses. So I wore my contacts today, and I can barely see well enough to see this needle coming in. because they're set up to do far-sighted. You know what we're talking about, Ethan, when the year is 2056. I'm trying to think of a way that I can machine sew the hands, but I'm afraid they're so thin I'd never be able to turn it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just sew the fingers, and maybe up one side of the arm on the sewing machine, and then just do the ladder stitch up the inside seam. Ah, yeah. My from years of doing close up work, my muscles are just completely shot. Oh, look who's here! Looks like somebody wants to be fed and needs to go to the bathroom, and it's not me. Tilly, come here, baby. Tilly. Well, I'm gonna call it a day for this. I'm gonna grab Tilly and bring her on just 1 second. Okay. All right, I'm gonna continue sewing into the night probably on this, and I'll be on tomorrow to do it. But let me put my glasses on so I can actually see. Yeah, so hopefully he'll have a bottom torso tomorrow, and I can put the whole thing together, which would be great. So, what kind of thread do I use? I just use the Coates and Clark. I probably should use something better, but I have a lot of it. I don't have any of the old stuff anymore. I've finally thrown out all the stuff that's gotten really brittle over the years. But yeah. So, and Tilly next month will be 14 years old. So that's why I put her here. Look, say hi. There she is. Okay. All right. I'll be on tomorrow. And if I'm not on by 5:15, go ahead and send me another text or email, Dave. And I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for joining me.